As always, all praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakahak Wadash, double honor to the apostles and the elders of great millstone, peace and salutations to the elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Lord willing, this one will be edifying to the elect, and this one will be, on charity, charitable conversations with brothers. And what I mean by that is, you know, speaking to brothers when you're in, a very tough situation, you're going through hell, so to speak, as we all are going through, different variations of hell, specific to our personalities, because Yahweh Bashem Yoshai, Yahweh is the one that is, ordaining certain things, giving instructions to demons to, put obstacles in your life, to put thoughts in your mind, to make your life hard, to make situations hard in your life, to make your flesh, fight against the spirit, so to speak. So it's very important to speak to brothers, and not resent, and neglect, that aspect of charity, because it's a very rich currency when it comes to charity. Speaking to a brother, you have a conversation with a brother that's going through something, hard in the flesh, and it helps, it edifies, it encourages, it exhorts, and it can also, be a case of rebuke where a brother needs to be corrected, and led in the right direction, and all of this is charity. So this is First Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 11. I'll read the NLT, on the right, as it says, "So encourage each other and build each other up, just as you are already doing." Right? Because this is something that we should already be doing, and continue to do it, because that's what the body is for, to build each other up. So a brother may be going through something, and he shares it. You share it with the next brother that went through something similar, or that brother is just a brother that can, will say the words that you need to hear, through the spirit power of Yahweh Shem Shai, and that will comfort you, that will give you, that will boost your faith, should boost the faith, of the brother. If brother is sincere, it will boost your faith, and encourage you, because it's one spirit, and it should keep you comforted, right? As it says, it should keep you encouraged. It will build you up, and that's the point. It's a very rich currency, because brothers are filled with the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and that's the point. And I'm gonna get this precept in Proverbs. This is Proverbs chapter 8, verse 11, and it says, "For wisdom is better than rubies." Right? So the wisdom and knowledge that the brothers have been given from Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is more valuable than money itself. It's more valuable than pearls, rubies, diamonds, right? It's a very, 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 very beneficial thing to our body. So when you speak with men of the Lord, righteous men of the Lord, it edifies you, it heals, it encourages you, as it says in the previous chapter that I read in Thessalonians, right? It makes you see the bigger picture, which is this truth, which wisdom is really one of the things that we have, like we only have in this truth, like wisdom, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, the brother, all these things, these gifts that we've been given, that's at the end of the day, that's our woman. This truth is our woman's, the spirit of wisdom is a feminine spirit as well. Is really the only woman that we have, and brothers, will drop their, as as they say in the world, gems, jewels, drop certain knowledge on you, and you know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, encourage you, and listen. Just even listening in itself, just listening to a brother and just hearing what he's going through, that's wisdom as well. And then, the spirits beyond you to say, certain things that will help, share certain things as well, quote scriptures, and all so on and so forth. These conversations are very important. It's not to be neglected. It's not a thing where you should be going through hell and you're not saying anything to anybody. You're not expressing what's been going on with you. When you yourself, is a mortal man, us being, you know, gods in these chains of darkness, it's very hard. It's tough. So there's no shame in having a conversation with brothers. The spirit will lead you to do that. It will be more a prideful thing to neglect it, because if the spirit is dealing with you, there will be a thought, of you wanting to share certain things. There's nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, it's very strong, to do this, to just follow in the scriptures. The scriptures tell us to exhort one another and encourage one another, right? But the wisdom, again, for wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. So there's nothing that compares to the wisdom and knowledge that brothers can relay, can pass on to each other, in these charitable conversations, because a brother can't know what you're going through by just looking at you all the time. You gotta seek help or conversation with a brother. It's not necessarily help, but to express what you're going through. We're humans, you know this goes for all brothers. Elder brothers, I'm sure, do this because the Lord is working with them. The knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is flowing, so they themselves as well will have conversations with whoever the spirit leads them to have the conversation with. And it's not always about, devastating things that we can't bear. It could be something that you may think is small, but it's still a matter. It's still something that you need to get off your chest, or you need to hear the opinion of a righteous man, not just sitting there getting beat up by demons, right? So let me get this is 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 7, and it says, I'll read the NLT again. And goodliness with brotherly affection, and brotherly affection with a love for everyone. The more you grow like this, the more productive and useful you will be in your knowledge of our Lord Yahushai, right? Let me go up a little more. Right, so I can read the KJV, and it says, and to goodliness, brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness, charity. Right. So all of this goes hand in hand, man. Brotherly charity is kindness. You want to be, kind according to, righteousness, not according to what this world deems as kind, which is foolish, right? Let me get it here. Love of brothers, brotherly love. Right? That's what the word the word goes back to here. So brotherly love. And what's love according to the Bible? The commandments. What does the commandments order us to do? To love your neighbor, and a part of that is a charity. That brotherly kindness. That currency, that rich currency of charity, which wisdom flows, you know, conversations of wisdom, when we're in distress, when we're feeling low, when we're brought to a lower state. These conversations are some of the best conversations I've had since being in the truth. And the Lord puts us through certain things to refine us, and we have these conversations with, you have conversations with a brother. It's very comforting. It's food for the faith. It increases the faith. Speaking for myself, it increases my faith more and more. And the spirit can understand so many things that words cannot explain. It's like a thing that if you know. And you just keep going in the spirit, and you just improve more and more based on these conversations. You're not supposed to remain the same, right? Because the point is, let me get Proverbs 27 and 17. And this one reads, it says, as iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. Right. We're put in this thing to, improve one another, to exhort, to correct, to love one another in that way. You're not going to see your brother doing fuckery and just leave him. You're going to correct him. You're not going to see your brother beating himself up, having this woe is me spirit on him, and not correct that and rebuke that. That's love. You're not gonna see your brother eating pork, and say, what the hell? You're gonna say, what the hell you're doing? You're gonna correct that, which no brother should be doing that. You're not gonna see your brother doing any type of wickedness and just not say anything. You're gonna correct the things. If you see a man certain qualities, certain negative qualities a man has, you're gonna have brothers that are gonna be trying to purge it out, to try to make it. The Lord is really doing it at the end of the day, using the men in this truth to help you fix whatever it is that you need to fix. And sometimes that's a long what's the word I'm looking for? Slacking. I always have so much things on my mind. Sometimes it's a long period. It's for a long time. Like you be trying to do certain things, improve on certain things. But the important thing is to be aware of whatever it is, and not be ignorant and think that there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect, or having this woe is me spirit, or spirit of feeling like everybody's against you. All of those feelings and emotions are just demons, because Yahweh Shem Shai works in very mysterious ways and plain ways as well. So it's not that hard to understand. However, let me read it in the NLT, and it says, as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. And what does it mean by sharpen? Improves, exhort. Let me go in the word. Let's see if it has any specific meaning relevant to what we're going through right now. Be keen, So a friend, it says, be alert. You alert a friend to certain things that needs to be improved. Let's see what it says here. To be swift, swift in correction, right? You get the point. Let's see what else. Let's see the root word, if there is. Right? Right, so as iron sharpeneth iron, man, iron sharpens iron, man. Brothers sharpen brothers. Brothers improve brothers through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Brothers encourage brothers. Brothers, lift. You're supposed to be your brother's keeper. That's what we're here for. So there's never something to be ashamed of. to have conversations about anything that you may be going through. Obviously, there's things that you may not speak about, or you're able to deal with it without it affecting you. But if it's something that's affecting you, you should speak to a brother about it. You shouldn't let it eat you up and then you just forget it and you continue. It's not a good practice to have. It's not a good habit to have in this truth. We have a lot of things weighing us down, man. You gotta air it out. We gotta speak about it, right? And that's the beautiful thing about this truth in Yahweh Hashem Shai, because we have the brotherhood, we have wisdom, we have Sophia, we have Yahweh Hashem Shai, Hashem Kodash. And no matter what we go through, we may lose, not we may, we lose women, we lose finances, we lose, people in the world that we may have counted as important and whatever. But at the end of the day, what should keep you stable and content is this truth, and the brothers, knowing that you have brothers that will be there for you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shine, no matter what, you know, or prize and reward that we're working for is much more important than anything, other than this truth, man. Like women, you know, just carnal things, vanity and stuff like that. None of these things matter. They fade away. They come and they go. And what doesn't come and go is the spirit. The spirit is always alive. It's always living. It's always here. It's here forever. So at the end of the day, the priority is this truth. And when what comes with this truth, the brothers, the brotherhood, the charity, Yahweh Hashem Shai, spirit, the Ruach Kodash, which comes from Yahweh Shai, that helps us to stay in the spirit, which keeps not help, it keeps us in the spirit. It flows with us when we're working to the standards of the spirit, right? It's one spirit at the end of the day. So this video, this lesson is really, to exhort, to encourage, conversations with the brethren, especially when you're going through shit. So I should stop, meaning like going through your afflictions, catching hell, the hell that you're going through, whatever it may be. It's very good to let it out. It's very good to speak about, because you learn from it. You open up more understanding, upon yourself. The Lord does that, because we don't do shit, man. We're vessels that the Lord, call Allah Yahweh Shemel Shai, Lord willing, I'm of the elect. The sincere brothers out there are also of the elect, because we don't know. And that's also the amazing thing about Yahweh Hashem Shai. He knows who is the elect, but we have no clue, whether or not we're of the elect or not. The we have to continue, playing our part in this movie, continuing in our lot to see how it plays out, because you have had many men that came into this thing and they fell out, and this also is an aspect, a thing that men that have fell out, this also caused them to fall out, because recently you had a brother going through, something, financially or whatever, single dad, and he decided that he had enough in this truth, and he had to leave, which truth had nothing, that's, you don't blame the truth, on your situation, and blame the truth, and you can't do this and that, because the scriptures already told you, like, prepare yourself for temptation, prepare yourself for all the hardship, roughly paraphrase, and prepare yourself for all of these different things that will come at you. The devil is going to come at you, when you come to serve the Lord. That's what it is. Like, you can't act like just all of a sudden like, oh, I didn't know. That's why you speak to brothers, so brothers can remind you of these scriptures. Brothers can put you, sharp, help you get sharper, and on point, and not believe bullshit like that Satan puts in your mind. Oh, Ray, Tay, nah, this, I can't, this, all these stupid excuses. The scriptures has so many verses that, debunks, combats all of these demonic thoughts. All of these thoughts are demonic because the scriptures already told us what will happen. So you probably, whoever, if you keep having these type of spirit, these woe is me spirit, and all this, and it's this and that, the Lord is not dealing with that, because the scriptures are contrary to that spirit. Tells you what you should do. And I'm saying, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, speak to brother, man. You don't have to speak to every brother, tell every brother everything you're going through, but there should be men that you can speak to. That's how the Lord set this thing up. So I just wanted to, speak on that. So Lord willing, that was edifying. And all praises as always goes to Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rukakudah Shalom.